Do you have any other childhood memories with art? Were you into art school, art classes? Were you always drawing as a little boy?
Nah. No, I never drew. Not until I got into graffiti. I wasn't into art really or anything. I've been more like, I've always been like attracted to things I'm not good at. Like stick and ball sports, I'm naturally good at. I'm naturally an athlete. So that shit came easy to me. So even though I could do those things better than most, it wasn't like, you know, I didn't go that route as far as like wanting to pursue that. So I got into skateboarding because I tried it and I was no good. I was like, how come I'm not good at this? So I got into skateboarding for a long time. And then same with motocross, like getting a dirt bike. I wasn't fast as fuck on a dirt bike. Like I barely ride the thing. So I was always attracted to things I wasn't good at. I tried writing graffiti and I was trash. And I was like, how come I'm not good at this? So things that I was never good at is things that usually I pursued because I wanted to become good at them.
Who gets you into skateboarding? Do you remember?
Probably just my older brother. Like he used to fucking skate and shit. So then I got into it just being a teenager after like, I guess preteens. Like after I quit racing dirt bikes and, you know, you're preteens. It's, you know, you're going through puberty. It's fuck everybody, fuck parents, all that shit. And it was just something that I naturally gravitated towards. It was early 90s. So skateboarding was it. I wasn't good at it. I tried it and I was like, what the hell? So let's go this route.
Why did you seek out things you weren't good at?
I have no idea. I don't know. I think about it to this day. Like, why do I pursue shit that I'm not good at? I think it's just something that it doesn't come natural to me. It's like, nah, fuck that. I know I could get good at it. And, you know, when you first start something, you don't think like, oh, if I do this for 15 years, I'll be good at it. You're just like, how come fucking, you know, XYZ down the street or whatever is fucking ripping and I can't? Like, I need to be at that level. I want to be at that level.
Your brother had a lot of style, maybe ahead of his time even. Was he into graffiti?
I think he was into it. He didn't really like do it or anything. He was more just like when I can remember just being like he just always had girls. He was going to raves in the early 90s when that whole scene popped off in San Francisco. Like, you know, he was just doing that. I'd go to stay the night and he'd come home at fucking 7 in the morning and I was just like in awe of that. Like not knowing, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, damn, this is tight. So that's kind of that.
Were you close with your brother?
Yeah, even though we didn't live together, that's my bro. So for sure, I definitely had mad love. Like as far as like going back to being like a soft kid or type of shit, I remember like when my brother would get in trouble, he'd fuck up or whatever, and he'd get yelled at and shit, I would start crying. Aww. Like for my bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck, my bro's getting busted, you know? So I felt it. I look back now, I just laugh.
Do you and your brother ever have a conversation about graffiti?
No. Other than like later on in life when I guess was starting to get known or whatever. And then like even some of his homies were like, bro, I seen your little brother up and fucking in the city everywhere, blah, blah, blah. So he just shows love. He never, you know, hated or anything. He was just like, oh, bro, that's tight, whatever. Just nothing but love.
Your time in Redwood City eventually comes to an end and you move to Kent, Washington for a while. What was life like there?
Leaving California was just a culture shock in itself. Coming from the Bay Area, living in a neighborhood, just being normal, and then moving to Washington State. You just, you know, you're brand new. I was young as fuck. We moved to Washington and I was first grade going into second grade. And when you get, you know, uprooted from wherever you're at and you're brand new, you don't know anybody. It's awkward, it's different. And I was already shy and kind of in my shell. So just a culture shock, but living in Kent was cool as fuck. We like lived in a cool ass neighborhood called the Kent Highlands. And there was like probably 4 or 5 neighborhoods all around. So it was always just a gang of kids. My mom and my stepdad were just working. So we were always just chilling. And I was, you know, fuck, dude, when was that? I'm old as fuck now. That was probably the end of the 80s, right there. It was just different times. So like back then, I know you're not like that now, but back then, like my parents walked me to the fucking neighbor's house. Hi, this is my son, and you would meet the kids, and that's how you kind of met people in the neighborhood. And then once you go to school, oh, this fool lives over here, or she lives here, and then we'd all connect and sneak out of houses at night and go just fuck around. And it was dope to live in that neighborhood with all those kids and all that shit. And by that time, like pretty much right away, maybe like 6 months into living in Washington is when I got my first dirt bike. So I was into that a lot. And then all my friends weren't into it. And I was the kid that was like, oh, Suff's got the dirt bike. He's lucky as fuck, this and that. So I was super blessed. But living in the neighborhood was super dope. I didn't really, the transition was cool. It was just different other than it rained all the time. And it was cold and it would snow in the winter.
How long do you live in Kent?
I lived in Kent until sixth grade, fifth grade going into sixth grade. And then we moved. Like, I'll never forget it because I had just got like the girlfriend that I wanted at the school. I was fucking tapped in. I was hyped. Her name was Allison, actually. I'll never forget. Anyways, had the girlfriend, had the homies. Everything was cool. And then I come home from school and mom's like, we're moving. And I was like, I was devastated. Like, nah, dude, everything's cool right here. And she's like, nah, we're out of here. I was like, well, where are we moving to? And she said some fucking town I had never heard of. And then that's when we bounced to the boonies.
How do you tell Allison you're moving?
Just like that. I was just like, literally like 3 days after we started being, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, I was like, I'm moving. And then that was pretty much a wrap.
What does your brother say when you tell him you're moving?
Brother didn't even trip because he stayed in California. So I was already in Washington. We had already bounced. So he wasn't like, that part of it wasn't like a thing. Other than like he came to visit in Kent and it was cool. Like I said, neighborhoods, normal kids. It's just like here, like normal shit. But where we moved to, that was the culture shock. Moving to the mountains, I lived in a town where there was one stoplight. So if you blinked, you missed the town. Like that type of shit.